We got news on one of the four pillars who has a massive goal in 2024, and also news on Eddie Kingston that we'll get to right now. As Eddie Kingston recently participated in a hard-hitting affair with Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli, leaving something on the table for the future, meaning not that he did not put up a great fight and a good effort, more that there's more to come between Claudio and Eddie Kingston down the line. But unfortunately, the match was that much of a hard hitting affair that Eddie Kingston actually sustained an injury during the match, which was, I mean, I can't imagine how painful this injury is, but it was a hernia. And unfortunately, Eddie has to go under the knife. I believe either the hernia surgery for Eddie Kingston is either today or tomorrow. Either way, I would like to send the top well wishes to Eddie Kingston. I mean, I would love to see Eddie become one of the top stars in Ring of Honor, as Eddie has all the charisma in the world to become a top star and deserves the opportunity to be featured in a premier spot in either AEW or Ring of Honor. And it seems more likely that he will be in that spot in Ring of Honor. So I do hope when he does return that he's given the opportunity to revisit things with his longtime rival Claudio Castagnoli in Ring of Honor. But nothing but the best to Eddie as he goes under the knife to repair what is 100% an extremely painful injury. Speaking of people that you wish would get another opportunity, Carlito was one of the people that made his presence felt at Backlash in San Juan, as Carlito made an appearance during Damian Priest versus Bad Bunny, to a raucous ovation for the hometown faithful. But as of right now, even though WWE executives were said to be very impressed and very happy with the appearance from Carlito, it is said to be a one-time deal for the former WWE superstar, as he is not set to continue with the promotion after his appearance at Backlash. It is unfortunate. Carlito has been somebody that I think a lot of fans would love to see come back to WWE on and off for the last couple of years, and he has done one-off appearances here and there, but he has not been back to the company since he was released. I believe like 2011, 2012, something like that. But I think a lot of people would love to see him come back. I for one am one of them that I think Carlito coming back would be 100% beneficial to WWE, even if it was just a short-term deal for a few appearances here and there, or maybe a rivalry to put, eventually a rivalry to put somebody like Theory over, or somebody, a youngster like, I was going to say LA Knight, but LA Knight's not really a youngster, is he? Somebody who isn't proven. Let me put it that way. Speaking of Backlash, though, the appearances from Carlito and Savio Vega were very much well received, and people were very hyped to see the native sons of San Juan on Saturday night. But another thing that people were hyped to see was Brock Lesnar getting blood and catching color during his match with Cody Rhodes. The one thing I disagree with is the fact that they say that they can't blade during the match, and the only way that somebody can get blood is if they hardway. Blading is much safer than hardwaying, because hardwaying is basically running into a steel post head first, hard enough to make yourself bleed, which probably isn't that difficult, but at the same time, it's not that safe either. Even though Brock Lesnar's a special animal and probably would do that, and we've seen him do that, I think it would be better if WWE let him blade, but that's beside the point. Either way, Brock getting blood at Backlash after that spot with the exposed turnbuckle was actually planned and something that was expected, and it wasn't something random or spontaneous. It was something that they knew it was something that they wanted to have happen. Which is, I do think it added to the match. I do think it was good. I do think it was beneficial and needed. But at the same time, having them hard way instead of Blade, it's not safe. It doesn't have the best interest of it doesn't have the best interest at heart of the wrestlers. It has, I don't even know what it has, because I wouldn't even say it has the best interest of the sponsors, because most sponsors don't care for blood. But like, I don't even know. I honestly don't even know. I think they just need to work out some kinks as far as that's concerned, and move in a different direction with it, because it's something that has not been allowed since 2008, for lack of a better word, and they may just be a little rusty with the circumstances to which that blood is best presented in their product. But that's just my opinion. Speaking of Cody and Brock Lesnar, though, Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar fought in the main event of Backlash on Saturday, and side note, I will go along with what everybody else says, that Bad Bunny and Damian Priest should have been the main event. I was under the impression that it would have been the main event, and it would have been a good opportunity for both Damian and Bad Bunny to put themselves in a positive position and elevate that rivalry in a different way, because it would be somebody other than Rey Mysterio, Finn Balor, or Edge main eventing. So it would have been something a little bit beneficial for those guys. And also, you were in Bad Bunny's hometown, or home country, so it's not like you were in, Denver, Colorado, where the reaction wouldn't have been positive. The reaction would have been positive because people would have loved to see Bad Bunny in the main event. But that's just me. Either way, Cody versus Brock is set to keep going, and it's not going to end. It didn't end at Backlash. If anything, there's a rumor that Cody versus Brock 2 could take place at Night of Champions in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, with a stipulation this time in place. The one thing I would say is that this is where I go back to, number one, that WWE needs to give us a little bit of insight as to why Brock attacked Cody in the first place before their second match. And number two, if they want to do a second match, they should have did a first match at Saudi Arabia and had Cody return at Backlash, as opposed to doing it the way they did it. But that's just my opinion. I think they rushed to the match to try and sell out Backlash because they knew Roman Reigns was not going to be there. But the fact of the matter is, Roman's going to be there at Saudi Arabia, so there shouldn't be as much of a rush to do a rematch just because it's Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying Brock should not be on the card. I'm just saying you shouldn't rush a rematch just because you think you need to. Now we jump to, but that's just me. I do think that we will probably see a rematch at Saudi Arabia, then one last match at Money in the Bank, but that's just my opinion, as I think there will be a series of matches to try and maximize the emphasis on Cody versus Brock, and also give that rivalry every opportunity to bleed it dry, I guess you could say. I do think Drew McIntyre versus Cody would have been a better choice, but that's just my opinion because I'm a fan of Drew McIntyre, and it would have given Drew McIntyre an opportunity to refresh his character and also be seen on television. But I'm also not aware of Drew's contract situation, so that's probably the reason why Drew is not in the position that I think he should be in. Speaking of somebody that has not been seen and is not in a position, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch actually has not been seen since Trish Stratus turned on her a couple of weeks ago, and there is said to be missing posters either being given out at tonight's Raw or up around the arena tonight on Raw, with Becky Lynch not being seen in about a month since the attack from Trish Stratus, and Trish Stratus hamming it up on social media. Becky Lynch blacked out her social media. It seems like it might be, I don't want to say an identity crisis, but maybe Becky playing up the fact that she was caught off guard by Trish attacking her. and them going that route. The one thing I would say I disagree with is the idea that WWE can't hold this off until SummerSlam. SummerSlam is in August, especially if it's at the beginning of August. There's no reason why they can't hold it off until August and go that route in August for SummerSlam, with the dream match being at SummerSlam. And I mean, that's just me. Do I think they should do it at Night of Champions? No, I don't think they should do it at Night of Champions. I think they should wait and do it at SummerSlam. Have Becky return at Money in the Bank, confront Trish, or return going into Money in the Bank, have Trish cost Becky Money in the Bank, and then have the match at SummerSlam. It's not that complicated. I don't think they should have it at Night of Champions. I think they should hold it off until Money in the Bank to allow that match to have the spotlight it deserves, which I'm not saying it wouldn't have the spotlight it deserves at Money in the Bank at Night of Champions. I would say you're going to rush into it for Night of Champions, and that's not fair to that match. It deserves the opportunity to allowed to simmer and grow into the match that we want to see, which it really hasn't had that opportunity yet because it's only been going for a month. It's not that difficult. Get it to the point where you can do it for it's not that hard to get it to the point where you can do it for SummerSlam, especially considering that now Night of Champions and Money in the Bank are the only two pay-per-views between now and SummerSlam. But that's beside the point. Now we move to CM Punk. A quick note, Tony Khan was surprised to find that CM Punk was backstage at other shows. There are plenty of people that think it's just a publicity stunt to get attention for AEW, as Punk is set to return. I don't know what to believe. Honestly, I think it may be that, but it also may be just Punk trying to redo his reputation within wrestling and better himself as far as putting his ego aside and letting bygones be bygones with people that he's had problems with in the past. And that's what it sure seemed like with WWE, at least. But now we move to the last bit of news today, as it is that Darby Allin is set to, in speaking to TMZ, Darby Allin said he plans to climb Mount Everest next year. In speaking to TMZ, and this excerpt is from Fightful, he said that's why it's so important for me to meet up with guys like Travis Pastrana and make stuff happen, do stuff that no wrestler's ever done before. The thing I'm going to do next year that no wrestler's done before is climb Mount Everest. You heard it here first. It is unknown now when Darby's going to try and conquer the feat, but I wish nothing but the best to Darby Allin with this goal. That is something I would never even consider for a smattering of reasons, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, when I saw this from Fightful, when I saw that report on Fightful that Darby was going to climb Mount Everest, I thought, honestly, there's nobody else in wrestling that I would have thought would consider climbing Mount Everest other than Darby freaking Allin. With that being said, though, that is it for the news, and I will see you in the next.